So let's introduce ourselves. Hello, I'm Marilyn Arias. I'm the Dean of the School of Engineering and Technologies at the Latina University of Costa Rica. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Thank you. I will stand up for you to see me. Hello, I'm Richard Nazariegos, the Dean of the School of Engineering of the National University of Guatemala. Hello, I'm Mario Juarez, the Dean of the School of Engineering of the Don Bosco University from El Salvador. You can stay, it's open to everybody. Hello, good afternoon. I'm Rosa Maria Canton, the Dean of Engineering at the Popular Autonomous University of Puebla in Mexico. Hello, I'm Nelson Rosas, the Dean of the School of Engineering of the University Foundation Compensar from Colombia. And also with Edgar, we are here representing the Nodo Centro. It has around 75 engineering schools associated within ACOFI. I know ACOFI has been mentioned a lot here. We're open to mobilities, interrelations with other institutions. So whatever you need, you can channel that with us from Colombia. Thank you. You see, it's fantastic. Just here, 5 countries are represented. And I was saying today that all of you are also leaders and you will reproduce what we do here and what you hear here in each of your areas, particularly from the national councils that we have created. Nice to meet you all. I'm Fernando Sordo from Honduras. I represent right now my dean, Engineer Nestor Luque Lopez. He's been appointed 4 days ago, so I'm here representing him. I'm the director of the Institute of Investigations of Applied Sciences and Technologies from the National University of Honduras. And I'd like to thank you all for your participation and your presence here in this LACSAPE 2024. We are open to collaborating with you in the best way possible, so you can count on me for that. Thank you. So 6 countries now. If translation is coming, perhaps we can speak a little more slowly. Hello, I'm also from Honduras. I'm Marco Canales. I come from the Technological Central American University, UNITEC. And of course, I'm at your disposal for any project, any collaboration we may have. Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Lorena Sigüenza. I speak slowly naturally, so that's not a problem for me. I'm from the University of Cuenca in Ecuador. I'm not part of LACSAPE, but I'm here representing the Ecuadorian Association of Institutions that have some engineering courses, with the intention precisely of being a part of LACSAPE. So although I'm not a part of LACSAPE, I want to stay here. Perfect. Welcome. Nobody that has ever come to this meeting then was no longer a part of LACSAPE. They are attracted to it. Rodrigo Jaramillo is still responsible for ACC. Is it ACC there? Send him my greetings. Ramiro Correa Jaramillo. Yes, sure. Send him my greetings. Hello, I'm Sandro Paz. I come here representing the Dean of the School of Engineering of the Pontifical Catholic University of Peru. 8 countries already. If we had prepared this on purpose, it wouldn't have worked out so well. Thank you. Hello, I'm Sonia Contreras. I'm the Dean of the School of Engineering of the Technological University of Bolivar in Cartagena, Colombia. Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Emilia Gacel. I'm the Dean of the Fidelitas University here in Costa Rica. Good afternoon. I'm Melania Solano. It's a pleasure for me to see our colleagues from the Central American Council. We had only met remotely. I'm the Dean of the School of Engineering and Architecture at the university. Welcome. Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es
Hello,
Felipe
I'm
Gutarra,
Felipe Gutarra.
decano de la
I'm the
Facultad de
Dean of the
Ingeniería
School
de
of
la Universidad
Engineering at the
Continental Perú.
Continental University in Peru.
Gracias.
Buenas
Thank you.
tardes, mi nombre es Edgar
Hello,
Alexander
I'm Edgar
López
Alexander
Gómez,
Lopez
decano
Gomez,
nacional de
the
Ingeniería de
National
la
Dean of
Universidad Cooperativa de
Engineering
Colombia.
of the
Esa connotación
Cooperative
de
University of
nacional es
Colombia.
porque en
I
Colombia
say
la Nación
national
Cooperativa
because in
tiene
Colombia
18 campus
we
en las
have 18
principales ciudades, en cada
campuses. In the
campus hay un
main
decano
cities, in each
y hay un
campus
decano
there's a
nacional
dean,
pues
and then there's a national dean
como que es la cabeza
that
de
is
las
the head
decanaturas para
of all
cualquier
the
cosa que
deans.
necesiten en Colombia.
For
Entonces
anything you need in Colombia, you
con
can count
nosotros,
on us.
con Nelson
Here we
queremos
have
trabajar en la
Nelson,
red
and
de
we've been
decanos de Bogotá
working
también, que es
also
muy
at
importante.
the
Gracias.
network of deans of Bogota, which is also very important. Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Do you want to present?
Derek Scott, Dean of the College of Natural and Health Sciences at Virginia State University. Nice to be here.
Latia Scott, I'm the Executive Director of Student Success at Virginia State University.
Thank you. Bueno.
All right.
Bueno, bienvenidos.
So welcome.
Por favor, tenemos dos colegas más.
We have two more colleagues here to introduce. I'm not sure my presence is very relevant. Manuel Bermúdez from Florida University. I'm like the elder statesman, as we say it. I work pro bono. I don't have any publications. I don't do anything like that, but I'm here as a goodwill messenger from all the LACSE community. And I'm here to meet you all. Welcome to Costa Rica. I'm originally from Costa Rica, by the way. Thank you. Hello, I'm Luis Guillermo Garcia. I'm the professor of mathematics at the Scientific and Technological Institute of the Army in Peru. It's a pleasure to be here in Costa Rica presenting my research paper. Hello, I'm Elizabeth Lizalde. I'm from Ecuador, and I'm also here to present tomorrow, actually. Thank you. And we have another colleague here that has just arrived. Good afternoon. I'm Claudia Yara Rueda. I'm from Colombia, Barranquilla, Simón Bolívar University, and I'm here to attend the workshop of EURACE. I've applied already to start the process, and I'm very happy to be here today. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Let's make a brief review of what we've been doing, what we have called the Summit of Deans of Engineering, Technology, Applied Sciences of all the Americas, what we've called the Regional Council of Deans of Engineering of Central America and the Caribbean, and the Latin America Open Chair of Technological Development and Transfer that we have created. That's the set of things we've been developing in the past few years, quite successfully, by the way. In these meetings, we can discuss some topics, we can promote connections, and we can agree to expand the work we've been doing. In the past few years, LACSE has focused more on Central America. And so we have promoted and we have worked jointly with deans of engineering from various countries. We've created the national councils of deans of engineering, We are proud of that in the network. Some are more dynamic, others not so much, but always with the expectation that we will be growing in our activities. So in Honduras, the first council was created. We have two colleagues here from Honduras, then El Salvador followed, and also in Guatemala, they've worked and they are calling deans in order to create a council that's almost formed already. And here in Costa Rica, a little over a year ago, they created a council that has been very dynamic. They've worked a lot. And the truth is that this international multi-conference of LACSE that is held this year in Costa Rica, to a large extent, is because of the great work of this council that very quickly understood the virtues of being integrated among members, colleagues within the country, and the possibilities that LACSE and others offer to have international connections. That was very important, and even more so at present. As to the Regional Council of Central America and the Caribbean, it includes deans from those countries. We are working right now with colleagues from the Dominican Republic. They are not here right now, but we are working to add them to the network, and Panama as well. And what's the purpose in that? Well, for multiplicity of topics that then, if we have time, actually I have a 73-page presentation and a 54-page presentation. If we have time, I can share them with you, but perhaps this is not the moment for that, because, well, it has mobility, research, transfer. I mean, there are many reasons why the joint work makes us richer, both nationally and internationally. The truth is that for LACSE, it's a pleasure, and for me personally as well, because I've been promoting all these things, and as a result, we are today in Costa Rica, for instance. At the same time, we have created a chair. We're going to describe it in detail tomorrow. We have a blog tomorrow that is for the Council of Central America. You're all invited anyway. And then we will have a blog on technological development and transfer. This chair has been growing gradually. It's not easy, but today it's made up of 40 people from 15 countries. We've been organizing conferences that have been recorded. They are already part of a set of material that is available at LACSE webpage, and it's been very important in this first part of the year once it was created with the great work of Fernando Soto. The creation of the chair was my idea, but then you have to work to make it move forward, and that has been also his effort. And we were saying with Fernando that tomorrow we're going to present what we want for that chair moving forward. That will depend on all of us, but the general concept of the chair is to mutually learn about these non-official, unorthodox models of technological development and transfer that for some of us are more relevant to the needs of our dear Latin America and the Caribbean than the orthodox science that makes lots of publications and patents. But it doesn't offer more benefits than accreditation with the same template that is used in China and the US, and we have to use it here, but perhaps it doesn't fit our needs. So that's our priority, and we hope we can keep promoting that philosophy and keep sharing with all of you. Of course, not to make technological development transfer insignificant, but for it to have an impact. And for that, every work of this nature that perhaps doesn't deserve a patent or a publication, perhaps it does or not, but it needs to have a social impact that is ensured by the presence of somebody that adopts it, an individual or a corporation or somebody that adopts what we're doing. Otherwise, it's more of the same. That means it will be useful, but it never is. So we invite you to see an overview of the chair tomorrow and our projections for the future. Now I'm going to change my glasses because I can't read otherwise. And we've all been teachers at some point. When you say something funny and you're checking if they are paying attention. If they smile or laugh, that means they are paying attention. So apologies, Chris. And we are now going to have a presentation by Chris Riordan. I'll have PhD. He's the Dean of Construction, Engineering, and Skills Trades in a Durham Technical Community College at Durham, North Carolina. I met him at the annual meeting of the Institute of Deans of Engineering of the United States that this year was held in San Diego, California, and he kindly agreed to come here and to offer a presentation. Apart from discussing the possibility of being in the network with the community colleges, his college or the network he belongs to. He's going to speak about sustainable engineering technology and technical skilled trades for a diverse and inclusive future.
Thank you, Chris. Do you want there?
No, it's a small group. I can start right here. It's good. Yeah. To advance the slide?
This is advance.
Okay.
¿A dónde está el detector? O hay que encenderlo esto.
Can he do it from up there? Okay, he said he could do it. He could do it from up there. Okay, there you go. All right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. All right. Buenos tardes.
Good afternoon.
Please
try to listen to the translation. I'm going to speak in English.
Yeah, if you don't mind. Okay. Thank you all for being here today. It's a pleasure for Senor Miguel to invite me. He told me I have to be here, so I didn't really have that much of a choice. I tried to be here. I'm going to do this very quickly because it's something that I've been doing. I think already advanced my slides here. Could you go back one slide real quick? Let me see. Okay. Yeah. We're advanced now? Okay, there we go. Just very quickly, I just want to kind of do my introduction here. As you can see, I'm not going to go through all that. I just kind of want to give you all a little background about myself and how I actually ended up in the community colleges. I was actually sharing the story with some of my friends that I just met here. I've always been in 4-year institutions promoting engineering, especially in the civil engineering areas. Unfortunately, most of my students have a hard time pursuing engineering. And so I've been trying to look for different options for those students who are I don't like using the word weak, because they're very serious students. They just can't make the math or the physics. So that was how I actually decided, let me really spend some time and investigate the skilled trades program. So just a quick overview of kind of what I've been doing right now. Currently, I'm still, my kids and my students still ask me if I'm practicing engineering, and I say yes. I spend a lot of time trying to get my engineering degree, so I'm not gonna just let it go. I'm currently licensed in Florida, Michigan, and North Carolina. I do private consulting right now with Bridges, so I'm still very versed in engineering. All right, so let's get with that introduction. I think if I can figure out how this thing works, let's advance. There we go. I should be going forward. I turned it off. Okay. Where's the forward on this? Here we go. To go forward is. Forward.
Okay.
No.
Only one.
Yeah. Was that right there? Okay, there we go. Okay. So what I'm about to discuss today, I actually presented at the ASE conference last year, and it's mainly about the skill traits. This is the paper that I presented during that presentation. And basically is this paper I'm also sharing with 4-year institutions as well. I honestly think currently skill traits, not only skill traits, but engineering technology. And I will kind of define engineering technology here in a second. But we have to understand that engineering technology programs, actually you can finish within 2 years, right? And if you do want to transfer after that, which gives a lot of students a lot of opportunity, because after the 2 years, if they do figure out, okay, I do want to go or pursue, so I have to always kind of talk to my 4-year institutions to say, I'm not trying to take students away from you, but I do want them to have that opportunity, especially those who will struggle with their math and their physics. So this paper is exactly about that. It does 2 things. It tells the students what their options are if they're having challenges pursuing the traditional, what we call traditional engineering, and also what it takes really to kind of pursue engineering technology or the skill trades. Okay. All right. So this is a fact. This is actually in the U.S., but I'm also very, very international. I'm from West Africa. My wife is from Jamaica, so this is a discussion we have all the time, and also that's kind of my interest really to come here. This is a fact. There's a lot of lack when it comes to just the engineering technology and the skill trades that our students don't have. They're looking for people, but we've all gotten into the situation where once we're getting ready to go to college, we immediately want to go into the 4-year institution. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but not everybody is designed or cut to do that. So what are the other options? All right. One of the biggest things, and I'm sure this happens everywhere, why do we have students who don't want to go or try the engineering technology or try the skill trades, right? It's a big question. Usually it's one of those reasons, right? It's what the perception that we have about the skill trades. When I graduated, there was no way I was going to go to a community college. I'm a very good example of that. Now I look back at some of the programs which I will share that we do, I'm like, I wish actually I had that opportunity to try some of those skill trades to see what will work for me. So it's a big perception. Currently in North Carolina, I'm working with a lot of 4-year institutions, just kind of doing the same presentation I'm doing right now to kind of change the misconception of skill trades. All right. I'm not going to spend too much with these definitions, but I know when Miguel asked me, I told him I want to touch on the sustainability part of the engineering technology and the skill trades, okay? So, quick definitions. I'm sure everybody here knows the definition of engineering technology. The easiest way I'm going to explain that to you is currently my program at Durham Tech, we do have at least 4 engineering technology programs. Biomed, right, is an engineering technology program. Architectural engineering is an engineering technology program. Part of our automotive program is also engineering technology. Now, when we talk about the skill trades, what you have is the HVAC, the plumbing, being an electrician, right? So there is actually a lot of correlation because people tend to think, oh, plumbers don't need any engineering skills or math skills. Contrary to that, if a plumber doesn't know simple geometry, they will not be in that program, right? It might not be a lot of math that is required, but they do need to have the basic understanding or definition for that. So again, I'm just kind of going through basically what I just told you is kind of what I'm showing you on my slide as far as definitions. Okay. Just like everything everybody's doing right now, everybody's talking about sustainability, right? Every engineering field you could think of, there's sustainability in every single one of them. Now, What about the engineering and the skill trades, right? Sustainability is also key component of that. One of the biggest areas for some of those is going green. When we're going green, we're looking at our builders. You know, solar energy is right now one of the big things. Currently, one of our programs is our electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles. Those are all part of our sustainability programs. So as we're looking at sustainability on a much higher level, we cannot forget that it all triggers down to what we do as well within our programs. Okay. So I just pointed out the different sustainability areas that we're focusing right now, engineering technology, and if you see those on there, as well as the sustainability programs within the technical skill trades. Okay. So we're not going to be left out of the equation, you know, in terms of when it comes to sustainability. So this is just to capture kind of one of the big areas as far as sustainability goes with both two programs. There's a lot of overlap, by the way, when it comes to sustainability in engineering technology and skill trades. Okay, so typically I'm listing at least 5 main areas that we're currently involved in right now within our engineering technology and skill trades. Renewable energy, right? We're doing that, environmental engineering. I just shared one of the areas too that community college or 2-year institutions struggle with is funding. I was in the 4-year institution system where funding really, yes, I thought it was a problem then, but when it comes to the community college level, that is a whole different level, right? So that is kind of the challenge. But right now, there are a lot of companies, especially in North Carolina. For those of you who are familiar with Kempower, Wolfspeed, those are all companies that right now are into renewable energy, mainly the electric vehicles and the hybrid vehicles programs. So we're actually working very, very closely with those companies. Toyota actually just got 2 different plants in North Carolina where it's all about electric vehicles as well. So right now they reach out to us to kind of help them. We don't even have enough students to train to kind of help them. But Toyota is not looking for a student that's got a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. No, they're not looking for a student that's got a BS in electrical engineering. They just want those 2-year certification programs who can work on charging stations, right, with just the skill trades. So it's a great, great, great opportunity that's opened up for a lot of those students. Okay, same thing with the technical skill trades. I think one of the biggest areas I talk about is really going green. Basic plumbing systems right now, believe it or not, there's a lot of sustainability approaches that is going to that, from the product that they use to how they actually design it within our buildings. So those are all kind of big areas as well. Okay, here are currently the programs that I supervise back at Durham Tech. As I mentioned, the very first 4 in that column are all engineering technology programs, and on the construction trade styles, we have listed 14. Those are all our skill trades program. There's a lot of them. Now, some of those programs takes certification about just a year or 2 semesters to actually get them. We actually have problem with retention in a good way, in the sense that when our students come in to get their certification, they don't even want to get their AS degree, let alone a bachelor's degree, right? So that tells you what a job market is for the forces there. Usually I spend a lot of time going through this here to explain the programs, but I'm going to just skip through that. This is kind of a breakdown also. And by the way, I will leave this presentation also with Miguel, so if he can share it with you all. And by all means, if my contact information as well. All right, so again, this is all just the breakdown of all the different programs that I showed you, the 10 programs. Kind of goes into the details of what they all are. And I'm getting ready to wrap up because usually I like to get some Q&A. If you have any questions, maybe we'll spend some time to do that. But what I'm going to do is, if you have a question, we'll let Senor Miguel be our translator, right? If somebody has a question, they can ask you can let me know, and I will do that. So I want to spend some time to do that. This is actually where we are right now. This is actually what is pushing engineering technology and skill trades. This 5 steps that I've mentioned here. Number 1 is affordability on 2 different spectrums. Affordability for the students, affordability for the employer. We do have a lot of apprenticeship programs that I didn't get into as well, but it's so affordable for a student to come in to get 2 years, much cheaper for tuition, go out and work. or they can actually get an employer that actually pays them while they're getting those certifications as well. So it's kind of a win-win for everyone, and again, it's very, very affordable. It is practical. I spent about 15 years in industry doing bridge design. For those of you who are in the industry, when I decided I was going to go do consulting on my own, I need you to listen to this very carefully. I was told I could not do a bridge design. And it makes sense, because you're not going to get a whole bridge for one person doing consulting. You could team up with other the bigger companies to do it, but you're not going to get a full bridge to design. Now, when I team up with a bigger company, they're not going to give me, for those of you who understand bridges, they're not going to give me a superstructure, a substructure, or the foundation to design. They're going to give me the street signs, right? Those little foundations. And it's okay, because there's actually a lot of market in that. And I say this because when a student gets a degree in skilled trades or engineering technology for 2 years, all they have to do is get 2 years experience. They can open up their own shop. Fact. I have some of our students that we train 2 years, get their degree, 2 years work, and we get them back to be adjuncts for our programs. We cannot even hire them as instructors because we cannot afford them. In the US right now, I don't know about Virginia or South Carolina, but in North Carolina, if your AC goes out and you call somebody to come fix your AC, it's going to take you at least 1 week to get an appointment for somebody to come in to kind of help you. So again, when I talk about skilled trades, people, especially my friends in industry, think I've gone so far to the left. But again, my goal is really just provide opportunity. So yes, I'm still a civil structural engineer, but right now I'm just advocating for engineering, building, skilled trades. All right, so basically all that I talked about so far as employability, there's a huge void to fill as well. That's basically, that's really it. That's really it for my presentation. I'm still working really, really hard to collaborate with a lot of four-year institutions back in North Carolina. Duke is there, Chapel Hill is there, NC State is there, ECU and A&T. I'm working on a paper right now because nobody's going to listen to me just by myself unless I pull all those people in. So it's a lot of work, but I'm making progress. So I'm kind of pulling people in so they kind of help me move this forward. That is really it. This is one of our bigger sustainability programs that we're working on right now. So far as the automotive program, I already touched on that as well. So, yeah. Questions?
Thank you, Chris. Very interesting. Preguntas?
Any questions?
Thank you. A couple of questions. Number one is, how easy have you found with industry partners, knowing that they have this shortage, being able to have like these formalized partnerships with these pathways to get students from your programs into the actual workforce? And then my second question, well, do the first one. Person asked the second one.
So, do you want to tell them the question he asked? The question he asked, you want to tell them? Or did it translate? Okay. So, yeah, his question is, how closely do we work with industry partners? So our industry partners are actually our friends and our enemy at the same time. And the reason I say that is our president for our college said 60% retention is kind of our goal. And it's really hard to hit that retention because literally, believe it or not, some of these companies don't even want students getting their AS, not intentionally, but all they need the students to do is 2 semesters, get what you need, come and work for us. So that's a challenge that we have. Now, the other part of that equation is we're working with these companies very closely to say, how about this? We are more than happy to have you have our students, but pay for them to finish up their AS programs, right? So it's kind of been a win-win situation. We get our retention, they get the students, they graduate, and everybody's happy, yeah. But they do help us a lot. Like I said, Ken Power just came there. We're trying to get him part of our apprenticeship program to kind of make sure we're both winning. So that's kind of how that works. Yeah. Second question.
Second question, I know as deans, our jobs are expanding in terms of what they're asking us to do. So I know fundraising is a big part of that. How successful have you been in terms of just formalizing partnerships with the industry in terms of fundraising for the programs?
Very good question. It's about raising funds. By the way, I had lunch with this beautiful couple here, and I had a lot of discussion. We had a great discussion with them. So if anybody's free tonight to have dinner, we can have the same conversation, okay? No, but his question is on funding. I spent almost 10 years in the University of Central Florida. University of Central Florida is a D1 school, is the second largest university in the United States, so far as numbers go. All right, usually I do this quiz for my US people. Ohio State is way up there. UCF is literally second on that list. When I was at UCF, funding was not a problem. I could reach out to Lockheed Martin, I could reach out to Boeing. If I just tell them I have a DEI program going, we have a minority engineering center, they will sponsor their scholarships, everything. I had no idea. Community college was a whole different ballgame. In community college recently, actually when I got back from San Diego, Miguel said, hey, we would love for you to come here. I'm just gonna give you an example. And I said, great. By the way, when Miguel told me that this conference was gonna be in San Jose, I actually thought he meant San Jose, California. I didn't realize it was San Jose, Costa Rica, but it's beautiful here though. I love Costa Rica. So yes, it was so challenging just to even get funding for me to come here. Miguel and I went back and forth, and I said, Miguel, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it, just kind of give an example. What I did is actually reach out, because my program has 8 directors. So all the programs that I showed you are supervised by 8 directors that I mentor and I supervise. And I told them, I said, I need everyone to make a wish list. What equipment are you looking for? What do you need to grow your program? And when we finished that wish list, I'll just give you a number. They came up with 1.8 million. 1.8 million to me is nothing. Nothing at all. When I was back in the 4-year institutions, for them, they were like, whoa, how are we going to raise this money? So I immediately sent that number to the president. This is the process, right? Again, before 1.8, I'm hitting the road myself. I'm not a consultant. Here, you got to talk to the VPs. You got to talk to the presidents. They have to approve it. They have to tell you which donors you cannot talk to, right, and which ones you can talk to. So that's part of the challenge that I'm facing. And again, that's why I'm trying to reach out to this 4-year institution. Awareness on both ways. Awareness so they can let our institution know how to operate if we really want to be successful, right? And again, what's the worst that can happen? I knock on somebody's door, sorry, we cannot help. But trust me, there are a lot of companies that just want to see their name on something, right? So, yeah. Sorry I give a long answer to a short question, but yeah.
Otra cuestión.
Okay, thank you very much. By the way, it's a pleasure to listen to you. When I went to school to Central Carolina Community College, then Fayetteville State University, Bronco Pride, because I have most of my education in North Carolina too. And what really surprised me, the way you're talking about a community college, because right now in South America, we suffer a lot from that. And Peru in particular, most of the students, after they're done with high school, they want to go to college to university. Unfortunately, to think about to become a technician or a technical degree is something very bad for most of them. They don't have the motivation. They feel that they're poor. They think you have to get a bachelor's degree, not a technical course. In your own experience, what can help us just to motivate students to go to a community college to become a technician? That's my main question, because we don't have that here.
Very, very, very good question. So I'll give you a little background. I grew up in Ghana, West Africa. I came here to the US to go to college. My wife is from Jamaica. I was born in Germany. My kids are very confused. They don't know what nationality they are. The reason I say that is back in Ghana, West Africa, if you were going to go to a community college, you were the dumbest person ever, okay? That's why you go to community college. Unfortunately, even in the US, that stereotype is still there. When I came to the community college students, I met really, really smart students that I will ask them the question. I said, you could have gone to state. By the way, NC State in North Carolina is one of the top universities to get into, so it's Duke and Chapel Hill. And when I asked those students, why are you studying out of the community college? Because I just kind of want to get their perspective. The first thing they say is, one, I'm working, I need that flexibility. Two, it's cheap. Three, it's faculty to student ratio, okay? Now, one of the ways that I figured to kind of motivate students to start at a community college is to use the same thing to say, you know what? I have students that could easily go to NC State today if they want to, but they are here for the first 2 years because every single one of those courses will transfer to NC State. That's what they want to do. The best thing about that whole dynamic is I actually have students who start off at a 2-year, want to do mechanical engineering, for example, and they're like, no, actually, I just wanted to work on cars. I just wanted to fix cars. So I started in the automotive program. I love doing this here. What am I going to do now when I go to the 4-year institution? The last part of that is what I just talked about, is the money aspect. Students are always thinking about money. When I'm doing this talk to high school students, I tell them two things. I say, first of all, you're looking at someone who went through the traditional way. I got 2 bachelor's degree, I got 2 master's degree, and I got a PhD. Now I'm here, right? It wasn't about the money, because if it were to be the money, I'll still be in the industry, trust me. But I share that with them because if they're thinking about the money, I show them the pictures. Usually this presentation, I will show them every skill trade, which is one thing you have to do. Every skill trade or engineering technology program after 2 years, what people make is nowhere, by the way, compared to what they will make in the BS. But I tell them, give me 5 years for every one of the skill trades and see where they are. Usually, some of those actually start their own businesses. So it is part of that whole misconception, one on different levels. For the 4-year institutions, to let students know that, believe it or not, the faculty-to-student ratio at the community college starts on great. I know you talked about students being bored when they go to community college. I think part of that is really not having a lot of projects hands-on for them to do, because we have the same thing. Our students are either working and taking classes, so they're never bored. But yes, if they're just taking classes, then they have to be fully committed. And you're like, hey, let's focus on these 2 years, we'll get out of here, you could go work. So I think for them, it's just painting the picture, so far as the numbers goes, to show them exactly, this is what you can make, this is the independency you're gonna get if you follow on that track. And if I use my own example, like, hey, I designed bridges for 15 years. When I decided to walk out, they will not give me a bridge to design. If I'd done automotive, if I'd done something else, I'll probably open my own shop right now. So I think that is kind of, the big picture, again, is trying to change that misconception for our 4-year institutions. One, because they can easily motivate those students. And for the students, it's just a matter of just pointing those 2 things out. One, I'm not telling you to stay here. If you want your bachelor's degree, I just say try it out and see how it plays. If you want to transfer, you transfer. Most of the time, some of them decide to stay anyways. Yeah.
Thank you. No more? Thank you very much, Chris. I think we can work together with you, and it's different for us in our careers, but perhaps we can think in this way, yeah? It's complementary that we have, because it's very interesting. You know, my English is terrible. Okay.
I would like, actually, we're going to have another speaker. That was the Dean of Engineering of the Polytechnical Institute of Monterrey, but at the last minute, he couldn't make it. So now, if you agree, you can have me as a speaker for some comments I was not planning to make today or tomorrow, but this would be before what Fernando is going to present about our chair, and it dates back to the conceptual beginnings of the chair. And since we have some time now, I would like to share that with you. Well, the technicians are excellent, so please play presentation number 2, not number 1, because number 1 was supposed to be first, but we are moving to presentation number 2.
Excuse me for the translation. For the next year, it will be very well. Bien.
I would like to share this. This is something we've been developing in Argentina for 15 years now already, and I worked personally in this with our Federal Council of Deans of Engineering, with the government, with the ministries of science and technology, and we've managed to make some progress. First, we started studying social sciences as engineers, because otherwise the orthodox scientists would run behind us with their conceptual knowledge of the scientific orthodoxy. So we were able to discuss on an equal footing, but adopting some schools of thinking and not others. So in those schools, they analyze these things as to how science, technology, technological development and transfer is done. And a linear model appears where, as you can see, first comes the invention, the scientific discovery. Well, that would be for a first discussion, right? Some say we do not discover what it is. We invent what we think it is. I believe that. We can do models, as Kant said, but reality cannot be grasped. But anyway, we engineers do not deal with that a lot. But in this way of thinking or of analyzing what scientists do, the linear model says there's a scientific invention, a discovery, then comes the technological development, and then the industrial application. But it turns out that it hasn't been like that in Latin America, in particular, because we do not have radical discoveries. This is where we most apply ideas that have a more technological conception and not scientific. And therefore, this doesn't happen in our countries because the technological supplies come from outside, because the businesses are divorced from our universities, because many companies are foreign companies and their developments are done abroad. We have a lot to do from universities to change that story, and we can do it. We can make our universities do technological developments that can be transferred to a social media that can be applicable and productive, not trying to emulate our rich cousins from the north that have all the resources to do other tasks. They are not to blame for having those resources. They have them and welcome. I wish we have them. But another science, another technological development, another conception of the university organization, that is what we promote. Apart from promoting this, we promote having research, transfer, outreach in our universities, that in many cases we discovered, well, Latin America is very large, but we discovered that the undergraduate courses take up 95% of the time and 95% of the activities, where actually, if we do development, if we do transfer, if we are in contact with production and the social media, we will also be better undergraduate trainers than if we just repeat the curricular design or if we copy it from somewhere else. So the first one is an exogenous conception. The technological change comes from the outside. It's given. It's a linear model. But then there are other ideas from other authors, other persons that have analyzed the processes. And it's not that these ideas coexist. They don't. They compete. And we say, actually, the linear model, has it ever existed? Perhaps in the past, not so much today. Today, everything is very dialectical. Everything is very articulated and mixed, just to put it simply. Those ideas say that there's an interactive model of innovation where actually science does not precede technology. And in many cases, technology is independent from science. But it also, these authors refresh the thinking as to how can we make these things happen in our university. We depend on not being able to buy a $2 million piece of equipment, or can we deal more with the social needs that with our own resources we will be able to face? But what will happen with that? We will make a transfer that perhaps it's not a patent, perhaps it's not a publication in a journal, with referrals from whom? From an external evaluator that doesn't know anything about our countries, an external evaluator that coldly analyzes a process from the logic, but doesn't understand how we are supposed to develop in our Latin American countries. I think it's for us. That's the idea. Dialectical issues, we call this an interactive model. There are interactions between academia, research also, but also with the productive sector, with the social sector. There are many sources we can learn from. And finally, achieve some innovation, but agreeing on where innovation exists. Sometimes we speak of an innovation at the lab. Innovation, it's a question of terminology. Innovation acquires an economic significance through a very long process and in the market. And very often in Latin America and the Caribbean, these technical improvements that are not patented and are incremental have had more important consequences than a different development that implies a publication, a patent. And we insist on this. We are managing to do this in Argentina. We are making our research groups transfer more, not to banalize the depth of their development in order to transfer it. They keep doing nanotechnology, they keep doing biopolymers and everything you can think of, but oriented to a social reality, not just to their professional or academic recognition. That also implies that, well, at the style of other countries, you can have a profit, you can buy more equipment, and it's part of a virtuous cycle where we are not just waiting for budgets from the government or subsidies or grants or to have a research or transfer department. We create it with our own budgets that we generate ourselves. And thanks to those budgets, I'm here today. Thanks to those budgets, I've been able to go out to the world, to become more international. Thanks to the money we have generated at our university in this virtuous cycle, because in that generation of profits, we've been increasingly better in the transfer and in the benefit of our territory. So, when joining this chair, you are not fully agreeing, but understanding the concept that moves us. In Argentina, we've managed for a project that is an innovation, at least in our territory, that has a transfer, that has a social impact, a project that has a buyer. So the Ministry of Science and Technology of Argentina created a bank to put those projects in, and those projects are on an equal footing with the publication and the patents for the evaluation of careers, for the accreditation of universities, for the evaluation of professional careers. That's why we can promote it. And in those projects, they are not evaluating that in an orthodox manner. The director of the project doesn't have to have a PhD. He doesn't have to. It's okay if he is, but there are many graduate professionals that have a very interesting technological development, a good practical application of their knowledge. They have not developed the fourth level, but they can manage a lot of projects with transfer, and perhaps our orthodox researchers do not have. And these are wasted opportunities. And these projects can channel those competencies of those teachers, etc. And here, a look at the indicators. So if we promote this work, this way of doing development and of doing transfer, this way of dealing with what Latin America and the Caribbean is asking for, as opposed to other regions, global indicators are not so appropriate for that. So I recommend, there's a very old manual, the Bogota manual, after the Frascati manual or the Oslo manual of indicators and evaluators, a group of Latin Americans, without ignoring the necessary comparability of our Latin American indicators, they adapt them and they say, we cannot have the same indicators. We need to have different indicators. For instance, we need to value the institutional growth that implies the development, even if it doesn't reach a final outcome. The institutional context where it's made, the strengthening of the institution, the strengthening of the labs, of the research groups. It seems like all the indicators are always referring to a final outcome. And that's not the case, because it strengthens us for new projects. So, valuing the relationship of society as a whole. Sometimes in Argentina, some say or write, our national system of science, technology, and innovation. And I say, there's no such thing. We shouldn't say it exists. We still have not managed to achieve that. A national system of science, technology, and innovation is that where all the stakeholders are necessarily connected in a network, where universities are connected with the businesses, with the chambers, with the professional associations, with the government and the ministries. So what we call the whole set of agents and the existing relationships, the environment that is created leads to an institution not to work in isolation, to reinforce one another, providing our strength and also asking for help with our weaknesses. So this concept of a type of knowledge we manage is very interesting, the cultural knowledge. What are the tacit knowledges? In general, we deal with the explicit knowledge, the written knowledge, the registered knowledge. But there's a knowledge, for instance, the knowledge between the teacher and an apprentice that is managed at a lab or at a mechanics shop or a nuclear physics lab. That knowledge is not transferable. That knowledge is not available to everybody. That's why many tasks have to be done in person necessarily. Well, so these are all ideas that I'm mentioning very quickly now, but we try to contribute these things to expand our approach to the problem. When a person leaves and takes his or her tacit knowledge with them and that knowledge doesn't stay, the organization of any kind is losing. Well, the challenge for the region seems to consist in the construction of skills that tend to complete productive chains with incorporation of more technological and organizational complexities. It seems to me that these are concepts that our boards of directors and us as directors, our assistants, need to bear this in mind in our everyday reality when we go back to our offices to face our daily problems. Here, my colleague here is nodding. She's also overwhelmed by the everyday reality.
Perdón, excuse me. Bueno.
A reference to SMEs in Latin America. Of course, each country has their own industrial development. Some countries have more development in large companies or medium-sized companies, others in small companies. Some have our starting industrial development. Even in those cases, I think the university should be protagonist of the improvement of the existing industry or in the creation of a non-existent industry. They have to incubate businesses, be involved in the productive development. All right, so here we say, what can we do with all this? Complete the economies of scale, favor the creation of productive conglomerates, contribute to social inclusion by increasing the revenues of micro enterprises and reducing their vulnerability. That's why the chair is called Technological Development and Transfer. And when we speak of technological development, it can be an innovation under the sun, but the definition of technological development is existing knowledge applied in a particular situation. That is, we have so much knowledge at universities in Latin America and the Caribbean that exists, so that we shouldn't be researching anything else. We should just make an effort to transfer that to the industry and society. That would have a strong impact, not just doing more research on things we still don't know. And if you think about it, you will agree there's more knowledge at university than in society that is wasted, we say, with this approach. Here we say, here, the areas of intervention for these bottlenecks, well, funding, innovation and technology policies, access to technologies. Well, the university cannot do this on their own. We are still quoting an Argentine technologist that was brilliant 40 or 50 years ago, Juan Sabato, that created in Argentina the first department of metallurgy for nuclear power plants in a National Commission of Atomic Energy. I worked in atomic energy for 20 years in Argentina. It's a commission that could do it. Today they are developing. Have you heard about the modular small nuclear power plants? Well, Argentina designed one a long time ago, and they are doing it. Well, because of the changes in governments, it's taken a long time to build it. We can build nuclear power plants. Any country in Latin America should be able to develop those capabilities. But Sabato used to say that, well, the famous Sabato triangle, he's tired of being quoted so often, but the triangle is government, businesses, universities, research institutions, and in that way, it's possible. Because it's also true that a university policy is biased by the national policy. A country where national industry is protected is not the same as a country where the doors or the customs are open to imports. In those countries that say that the flow should be unblocked, but they defended their production until they became what they are today. Well, so university can work in politics. We should, with the governments, with the businesses, with the chambers of businesses. And we believe in this chair. We believe that we can have an impact. And there, I'm going to read the objectives. Contribute to increase in the contribution of the schools of engineering, technology, or applied sciences to the sustainable territorial development in their area of influence in the framework of strengthening regional cooperation. What does this mean? This summit of deans, the Regional Council of Deans of Central America, the chair, it's making it possible to do things together, but there are also bilateral partnerships, joint research among countries. My university, for instance, is doing lots of things with some of you or programming others. That's why we say within the framework of regional cooperation, let us help one another. Let's make a good use of this summit. Let's do networking. Let's have contacts. And when it comes to facing an issue, let's see if a Latin American brother or sister perhaps faced it before. And in that interesting South-South relationship, as we call it, we can achieve some important synergies. And the other one was to promote and strengthen technological development, transfer, and contribution to innovations, seen to the social and productive needs locally and regional integration. For that, we need to map those needs in the productive system. What are the production chains in our country, in the region? Where are the production chains at an international level? That complicates things because the goods come, leave, they go to another country. There are companies that now are optimizing their manufacturing internationally well, but at some point we can be involved and generate national production. A country can accept, if a country doesn't have any automotive industry, they can allow for an automotive company to come in as the maquilas in Central America. But I accept the maquilas for some time, but then I can say, well, 3 years from now, 10% of what you do should be national production. 5 years from now, 25% should be national production. So let us manufacture something here, not just assembling. And in that way, we can favor the businesses for them to keep the capital here, but along the years we can learn, develop small companies that become the suppliers of the large companies. I don't know to what percentage we can reach, because sometimes it happens that there are some aspects of technology, some parts of technology that only the large global scale makes it possible. But okay, in a railway, to give you an example, we can do everything except for the machine car, but it doesn't make any sense to bring the rails from abroad.
Then we also have specific objectives. And again, we will give all of you this presentation so that you can have it. The open chair intends to develop these topics, among others: scientific, politics, territorial development, and so on. We still haven't gotten there, but along with speakers from different institutions, we can even have teachers from each university, at least one for each. So the challenge is to continue working and building upon this together. Tomorrow, we have the meeting of the Regional Council, and then our chair will hold its meeting.
Are you understand something?
Again, thank you so much for joining us for the Latin American Open Chair of Technological Transfer and Development. Miguel has been working on this for over 2 years. I've been here for 1 year, and we've reached interesting results. So we want to say thank you to each and every organization and university who has joined us for the Open Chair. We have about 12 articles, and tomorrow we will delve deeper into this. And we will also talk about our commitments in the chair. Latin America needs to create things for Latin America, and Latin America needs to be a synergy hub for technology development, which we can offer to the rest of the world. We are amazing engineers, we are high quality professionals, and we need to have our own developments. Thank you. Thank you so much, Fernando. Fernando's presentations is wonderful in terms of aesthetics. It's aesthetically way superior to mine.
How challenging is it for you to get your engineering technology programs to transfer to the four-year institution?
Well, I think that our challenge for technology development is introducing these concepts as part of the syllabus. I've done it. I have a chair of technology development and transfer in the last level in my degree program, and we always convey this conceptualization to our students, because later on, if they become engineers, they need to be able to follow upon this. Well, this is a dream that I've had for the longest time, but there are a lot of obstacles. The first one is that it's hard to understand the concept of technology transfer as the very essence of knowing how things are done. I come from Peru. I've taught for a number of years, and the main problem is that students would get used to using the technology. They would become users, but they do not become creators or generators of technology. They are captivated by the market, and they become users rather than developers. So, teaching a student how to think, it doesn't mean we're going to be teaching them how things work from scratch, but rather they need to know how black boxes work, for instance, what the basis of what they are doing are. Students can be very good, but the problem is when you start asking them about basic concepts, or when you ask them, well, what are you learning other than how to use technology? I always tell them that they are becoming regular salespeople, right? They're just buying and selling. And in my university, we are developing the policy to use green hydrogen in the university for green energy. But sadly, the people who are in charge of making the decisions are always in charge of buying pre-made things and reselling them. And that doesn't help this concept at all. They are trying to compete with the industry, and that is impossible. The university cannot compete with the industry. We need to work and develop from ourselves. Thank you so much. Hello, yes, I think something amazing that Latin America has is the fact that we have a lot of young talent, and we need to leverage that. Governments or institutions need to instill creativity into their students. If we do not do away with the current narrative where Latin America is in charge of buying technology instead of producing it, we are never going to get to compete with the main players in the market. And this is a clear example. In 2015, my brother and I dreamed of developing a model for energy efficiency and for variable measurements. We developed the idea, we leveraged the pandemic actually, and we were able to develop a set of devices. Back then, my brother dropped out of university and I didn't, but we started breaking the paradigm, creating a new way of making these devices. And we do it not only in Honduras, but we also collaborate with partners from other parts of the world who provide us with productive means, but we develop the devices in-house in our country. So defeating that cycle, that narrative that people from Honduras are not able to do things is something that we need to do, right? We had to break that cycle and jump into technology development. And right now we are competing against German companies, companies linked to the United States, and we are doing very well. And our prices are way more competitive than the prices in the rest of the national or domestic market. So the idea is to try to break this cycle, break these narratives. The only way of getting our young people to create and produce technology is telling them that they can do it. As you can see, the greatest thing we did is asking Fernando to be the coordinator for the chair. Obviously, we always mention personal examples. Personally, I work at a university that is very close to two of Argentina's main nuclear power plants. And one was discontinued in its construction for a long time. When it came the time to finish the construction, Siemens KBU from Germany had closed their nuclear division, so it was finished by Argentine workers with contributions from different universities. And my university developed the software for acquiring data on the vibrations of the nuclear reactor and some recipients, some combustion elements. You know, all that system was developed by my university. We earned millions of pesos, and the country saved millions of euros. And we gained a lot of knowledge. And that's a great example. That's an example of technology development that didn't involve patenting and publications. I was getting calls from the deans of my university asking me, why are you not publishing your findings? And I would tell them, oh, they're not that important, but take a look at what happened after. Our work was really valuable, and also we had 2 or 3 doctoral dissertations out of that work. It's not just developing the undergraduate careers or programs, it's developing the graduate, the postgraduate programs, and PhDs and master's degrees. If we look at professional careers and professional journeys, we must understand that there has to be a cognitive leap. Some jobs cannot be done by just one engineer or a small group of engineers. Engineers cannot just leave university and start conducting 200 environmental impact studies. We can conduct 1 or 2, but we cannot compete with huge consultancy companies. That is what we need to do, right? Small cognitive leaps. To achieve technological developments. Designing a building with no innovation is not technological development. That is just professional application. And obviously, you learn as you do, right? So it's really enlightening to think about these things. And that's why I'm here, because I feel passionate about these things. And I can assure you that it's wonderful to feel passionate. I pity people who do not feel passion.
a person that will live in Madrid go to Londres, and a person say him that if you speak slow, this person in Londres understand you. We go to Londres. Hello, I need to go to, yo quiero ir a Trafalgar Square slowly. And the person in the taxi said, okay. It's true. If you speak slow, you understand. Where are you from? I'm from Spain. Yeah.
I can tell you a story because my wife is not here, because I've told her the story so many times.
I can speak about this because my wife is not here, because she heard it too many things, many times. Okay, bueno.
Well, I think that this has been a really fruitful panel. We were able to hear Chris's presentation. I'm going to try to get his presentation in order to share it so that this session can truly have an impact, and so that we can analyze the information and we can leverage the information that comes out of these sessions and meetings for those who weren't able to join us. Also, I would like to invite you to join the chair. You just need to contact me or Fernando in order to join. And you can join yourselves or recommend people from your institutions to join, right? And we will continue to contribute to the chair. And we will also, of course, share our presentations and any information that we deem useful. I want to let you know that the chair actually made a mistake. We spoke at 12 conferences and we failed at 1. We're going to need to redo it, but this is the exception that confirms the rule, right? We are working. Yes, the conference has been organized for August 23rd. And I was going to ask a favor of you. It's important to keep a roster of the participants in Colombia. I don't know whether you are keeping it, but if you are, please share it with us. The roster for the conferences. Please share it.
No, es por el parlante que estoy haciendo retorno. Ah. No, la presentación,
We're trying to go back to one of the slides that we were showing.
Okay.
Right, so if you do have a roster, please share it with us.
Buenísimo. Conferencistas, okay.